Hello everybody. The next car that you've selected to view on ClassicMuscleCars.com and Northern Illinois Classic Auto Brokers is a very rare car that we now have in our inventory and available for sale. So I'm going to take a little bit of time and tell you about this spectacular car, and I'm also going to take a little bit of time to tell you about some of the history of what the winged warrior cars are all about. Now, this particular car is very rare. It's one of 3 known to exist. Known to exist means that that's all that's known to exist at this time. I'm not going to sit here and say that there's only 3 of them. I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of information about these cars, and there isn't a whole lot of information that's out there that you can grab a hold of and say, yes, there was X and X and X made. It is a very rare car. However, this car now, out of the ones that were produced, is a SE, special edition. So that's how we get the one of 3, is because it is a special edition. The 69 Charger Daytonas were very rare in the beginning. They were a lot rarer than the Superbirds. They say that they made 503 to 505 of these, and there was approximately 360 registered. Now I'm reading this verbatim from some of the information that I have about these cars, and I have to disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. I can agree with the 360 that were registered originally, means they were titled, okay? And what I'm getting from the information that I'm reading here, they're saying that the rest of the cars that weren't registered out of the 503 or the 505 were cars that were raced. Well, there's probably a lot of truth to that, but most of the cars that were raced, these cars back in the 60s, were put out on a drag strip. But what I have heard through the years, and I've been doing this a long time, I've heard something that makes a whole lot of sense to me, and I'll get to why it makes a whole lot of sense. But I heard that when Chrysler made these cars, they had to have 500 to qualify to take them to Daytona. Now that's a fact. That's for sure. That's why the numbers had to be 503 to 505. That's a fact. But the 360 that comes out is from an old story that I heard from a guy that worked at Chrysler. He said that they did not have all 500 of these cars produced to qualify. They only had one day that the official from Daytona was going to come out and count all of the cars. And what they wound up doing at the track that day, when the official was out to count the cars to qualify for the Daytona, they took some of the cars and they lapped them around twice. They brought them back, they changed quickly the wing on them, they changed some of the decals, the looks real quick, just to get the car around the track and get counted twice. Okay? Now this story makes sense to me, because if you know anything about car manufacturing and producing of numbers, a lot of times manufacturers may overestimate what they're originally going to produce, and then it winds up that they only produce a lower number than what they originally said that they were going to. But they had to get 500 of these cars produced in order to qualify at Daytona. But facts are, if you know your history about the 3 major manufacturers in the 60s, Chrysler was really having a lot of problems. They didn't have the money to work with that Ford and GM had. So it was very difficult for them to produce these cars and get them done so that they could get them all out in a timely fashion. And they had a lot of problems with production problems in the factory. They didn't have a lot of the parts, so on and so forth. But I can tell you from the rock and roll memorabilia that we have here at this company, and one in particular is a guitar that was produced by Kramer Guitar Corporation. It was produced for Gene Simmons of Kiss, and it was called the Axe Bass. Originally, that production run for the Axe Bass and the Axe guitar was slated at 1,000. So all the information that ever came out on that guitar said that they produced 1,000, but in fact, they only produced 165 of those total. They may have had the bodies or parts for 1,000, but they never got produced. So that happened a lot of times. If you got these cars out and they were produced and you didn't have the parts, or you couldn't finish the production, or you couldn't sell them after they were done, they only made X amount and they will always say, yes, we made, in this case, 503, 506. But I really believe that what I heard was a true story, because there was a lot of things that were going on in the 60s and early 70s, and Chrysler was out there trying to compete with GM and Ford, and they desperately needed to sell cars, and they needed to get cars out and get it in front of people. And this is the story that I heard about these particular cars. And I'm not saying if it's wrong or right, I'm just telling you what I heard, and I heard it from a very reliable source. But anyway, getting back to this particular car, this is almost an all original paint car. That's a very important part of what we have with this particular vehicle. I can't tell you, in the years and the cars that I've seen, I've sold, I've appraised, I've dealt with, how hard it is to find an original paint car. Now, with the exception of the wing in the back that's been painted, and a little spot on the corner of the nose for the headlight door, this car has all original paint. And look at it. This is an F8 dark green car, which is a rare color, and to find it in this condition in over 30 years, to be in this condition, is just unbelievable, because weather takes its toll, humidity takes its toll, sunlight takes its toll. There's so many factors. And here we have before you a car that has got almost all original paint. That's just incredible. Now, this car has black interior. It's a SE, so it has a special leather interior package. Now, it has a wood wheel. It's not really a really highly optioned car, but it does have one thing too that had crossed my mind, is the wheel covers. The wheel covers on the car are factory. It should, most of us would think, have the Magnum 500s on it, but this car, according to the breakdown by Galen Govier, had the deluxe wheels on it, the deep dish wheel covers, which we're showing on the car. And it has the red lines on it, which are correct. I'm not a fan of these wheel covers, but if you're going to keep the car right the way that it was born from the factory, these are the wheel covers that it came with. So in my mind, I would like to see the road wheels on it. Maybe if the next owner of this vehicle gets it and he likes the road wheels and wants to put it on, it would give the car a lot more flash, and it would make it stand out a lot more. But this is the way that the car was ordered. And according to the broadcast sheet, this was a special order. But most of these cars were special orders because they were special cars that were built. Again, they had to build 500 of these cars to qualify for the Daytona race. So this is some of the real important features and facts about this incredible car. And we've had a lot of cars in the history of this company, and we've only had a handful of the thousands of cars that we've ever sold that had original paint. And to have original paint on a thoroughbred investment muscle car like this is like looking for the needle in a haystack the size of the John Hancock or the Sears Tower, okay? So if you can understand that, you can understand how rare this car is, and we have a car that is one of 3 known to exist, and it is just beautiful throughout. When we did the detail, and that's what we do at this company very well, the detail on this car, there was a lot of grime that was underneath the car. Obviously, you're going to get it for years. We cleaned the bottom of this car. All the factory markings are there. All the factory undercoating is there. It's just incredible to be able to see a car that has all the original markings from the factory and everything that was put there from day one. And I'm not saying it's 100%. Everything is left in a bottle and sealed up, but the car is mostly original. The paint is almost all original with the exception of the 2 spots that I did mention on it. So what I'd like to do now is take the time to go around and show you some of the other good parts about the car. And if you have any questions about this car, you need to call Ed at area code 847-526-5950, and Ed can get you an in-depth, detailed VHS tape video of this car that he will personally take for you. And any questions or any areas that you may want to look at on this car, he will get that information and get the video for you. Now, I will tell you that there is no rust. This car is clean. It's just as clean on the bottom as it is on the exterior. There is some imperfections that is on the paint in the back, because when the back window was installed in these cars from the factory, they were leaded in. This is a very special car, okay? So there is some areas in the back that has some concerns that you can see some bubbling. That's not Bondo, that's lead work that's coming out from day one, because you have to remember how old this car is. In my opinion, I would not dare touch this car. I would not dare do anything to it. It needs to be left original, because you cannot find cars like this. So I think it's an absolutely beautiful automobile, and it's a very rare automobile, and it deserves to be, in my opinion, in a place that people can see it and enjoy it for what it is and for the rarity of what the car is. So we're going to take a few minutes to go around, and Jeremy is going to show you the engine compartment. We're going to show you the interior on the car. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to call us here at the company, and we'll get right back to you and answer any questions that you may have on this beautiful 69 Charger Daytona SE, one of 3 known to exist.
The paint job on this car is absolutely amazing for being original 1969 paint. And now I pop the hood, get a chance to look at the 440 Magnum in there. I'm going to walk through the lights so you see my shadow. Now we get a bit of a look at the interior of the car here. Here's the famous Dodge Chrysler clock tachometer. And we're showing 52,529 on the odometer here. And yes, that light down there actually does work, as does the dome light. Interior is immaculate. We'll take a look in the back. Once again, absolutely immaculate. Black interior. There's the wood wheel. It even gets AM, standard AM radio. Rubber here is still in excellent shape as well. And you notice that the door alignment is really excellent. Obviously not much work has been done to the door here. Seam is even, nothing sticking out or weird alignment. Everything is perfect. And these are the air dams, the scoops for brake cooling on the front fender. Excuse the lights there. And a shot of the red lines with the original factory covers.